Yo, what up? I'm Axiom, and this is the final edition of our Saul Williams interview series. And towards the end of the conversation, Saul and Sid got into the subject of LSD in our society. So if you think that's a pretty interesting thing to talk about, maybe you'll enjoy what he had to say.
But as the 60s progressed, mind expansion became a craze.
Well, you know, I'll say this. I read in an interview, you know, I'm good friends with a man named Richard Stratton, who's the founder and creator of High Times magazine. He produced my film Slam. In dialogue with him and in one of the magazines I received from him was an interview with Timothy Leary before he died.
The kids who take LSD aren't going to fight your wars, middle-class, middle-aged, whiskey-drinking generals. They're not going to join your corporations, middle-class, middle-aged, whiskey-drinking corporation presidents.
Timothy Leary, along with Richard Albert, Dr. Richard Albert, who became Ram Dass, were two of the scientists who worked at the Harvard labs where they created LSD, right? And they created LSD to try to replicate the mushrooms that Native Americans would use in ceremonies. And in this article with Timothy Leary said, you know, he popularized this chemical recreation, but what he neglected to popularize, and his one regret, was the fact that he did not popularize how the natives would use it in their life. They would do it usually no more than 3 times in their entire life as rites of passages, maybe one into adolescence, one into adulthood, right? And one into old age, you know? And so the use of first of all, the man-made stuff like LSD, for example, I see them as tools that you can use. They're dangerous tools, and primarily because they're man-made, you know, and also because, like I said, the Native Americans would do them as there was sort of like a reward system for reaching a point in life. I think that the idea of a party drug taken from a ritual and used on a daily basis is negligent, regardless of what you see while you're there. And you may see beautiful connections of, you know, humanity and love and lights and colors and music and sound and all of these beautiful things. I think that it's easy to get lost in that vision and not be able to play your part on this planet in fusing that vision with reality. These are crucial times that we're living in. I don't really see this as party times, even though I am technically making party music. I'm trying to make party music that you can think to, you know. So I don't have a real a love affair with drugs like LSD. On the other hand, like I said, something like mushrooms or something, I think those things are interesting in a proper context. And the context, once again, that I would place it in is if you want to experience that, then why not study where that experience comes from? And like I said, why not see how often they did it? 3 times in a lifetime is quite different from, dude, guess what I got? Let's go. That's not interesting to me.
Whereas breakbeats have been the missing link connecting the diaspora community to its drum-woven past. Whereas the quantized drum has allowed the whirling mathematicians to calculate the ever-changing distance between rock and stardom. Whereas the velocity of spinning vinyl cross-faded, spun backwards and re-released at the same given moment of recorded history, yet at a different moment in time's continuum, has allowed history to catch up with the present. We do hereby declare reality unkept by the changing standards of dialogue. Statements such as, keep it real, especially when punctuating or anticipating modes of ultra-violence inflicted psychologically or physically, or depicting an unchanging rule of events, will henceforth be seen as retroactive and not representative of the individually determined is. Furthermore, as determined by the collective consciousness of this state of being and the lessened distance between thought patterns and their secular manifestations, the role of men as listening receptacles is to be increased by a number no less than 70% of the current enlisted as vocal aggressors. The of them better realize now is the time to self-actualize. We have found evidence that hip-hop stand at 85 RPM when increased by a number of at least half the rate of its standard, or decreased to 3/4 of its speed, may be a determining factor in heightening consciousness. Studies show that when a given norm is changed in the face of the unchanging, the remaining contradictions will parallel the truth. Equate rhyme with reason, sun with season. Our cyclical relationship to phenomenon has
As you may or may not know, we've had a competition running throughout the series of interviews we've been doing and posting of Saul Williams on Grounded TV. And the competition was for the best spoken word piece. The winner got a video shot by Sid of them performing their piece. So here it is, the winner, Paraxis.
It's like every inch of the planet's a Google peep show for perverts. Still these microsurfs can't find the one in loneliness in the word search. I got that demi-urge thirst, immersed in yearning, but the urge hurts. Like Wordsworth, I've known fits of passion and absurd verse. I fight corporate mergers, these conglomerates of murderers. The merchants curse our curvature. The cursor blinks while servers blur. Unlearn the circuits, I'm an old school nurturer. A sharply deep tap verse scribbled on your furniture. My nerve synapse crackles and boom bops. Nice crispy neurotransmitters blocked and fucking paranoid of cops. I breathe the smoke of broken dopamines till my hopes and dreams stop. And float on this cloud perversion 9.0 until I drop. I gyrate the juggernaut. The giant sleeps while lovers plot. Their silent sheets discovered hot with ink blots of smothered thought. Our love is not for interpretive judgment. It's a smudged serpent feasting on the tail end of our covenant. Irrelevant. I bend the word of God and leave it hella bent. And spell descent, PR plus an axis of 4 elements. Higher intelligence, the sex-laden fruit of the celibate. I sometimes dwell in it. But truth is, I fucked heaven just for the hell of it. Shit. Just abandon it. Abandon this commercial penmanship. For life, live like a mendicant. Then bend the Zen benefits round all the pyramidic pretend sentiments. Know my descendants be a pendulum of pestilence. A plague on their testaments. I rage against their precedents. Got a painful residence from original pillage. Years of concrete abstraction layered on an ancient village. So amphibians croak in these savage lands of dragonflies until the garrison mentality of the bandwagons dies. I stagger by with a drunk vagrant's hurt, counting down to the end from the alpha to omega hertz. And it's like, that boot's so real, I can feel the double knots, leaving footprints on the future. Now we see how trouble walks. These corrupt cops shake down our conscious block like disco, and every hip amphibian hops to dodge the pop chart hits of pistols.
Once again, you done been grounded. Peace.
Of its speed may be a determining factor in heightening consciousness. Studies show that when a given norm is changed in the face of the unchanging, the remaining contradictions will parallel the truth. Equate rhyme